If you remember, I said maybe a week ago that there are two fundamental distortions in this verse in the modern times. One is in relation to the word adhikara. The word adhikara is today being used to mean rights, hak, whereas it never meant that. In this culture, there was no word for that. It meant something else. Eligibility or qualification or your area of operation. There are several shades of meaning to that. There is no exact translation for the word adhikara in modern languages. So I explained that in the last week. This week I will cover the other distortion that has happened with this verse. That is in relation to the word karma phala. This distortion is very widespread and it is not even acknowledged by people sometimes that this distortion is happening. In any language, when we speak, when we utter a word, for every word there will be several connotations. So when we come to a specific branch of study, we should be very careful as to what meaning we are giving to a particular word. If we start using it vaguely, the meaning conveyed may be something very different from the originally intended meaning, or sometimes the meaning may become the opposite of what was originally intended. Like here now, we have this word karma phala in this verse, and elsewhere in the Gita also that word comes in many places. And the translation, literal translation, is fruit of the action. Karma means action, phala means fruit. Fruit of the action. Now, fruit of the action is the literal translation, and if you try to explain it, several shades will come out. If you don't distinguish those several shades, and if you consider all of them vaguely together, there may be misunderstanding, because elsewhere in the Gita, there was one more verse which we chanted, where it said, phalam tyaktva manishanaha, you have to give up phala. It comes many places in the Gita, that you have to renounce, you have to give up karma phala. Karma phala is not yours. It should be given up. So if you consider karma phala, if you consider it vaguely and you generalize it to everything, and if you say you have to give it up, it will become absurd. Now in this class I will point out several outcomes that can come out of an action. And karma phala does not refer to all of them. You should not use karma phala to refer to all of them. This is an important point. You may not have this question now, but later someday you will get this question. When you get the question, this lecture may be helpful, if you remember. See, in any action, first and foremost outcome is whether it was successful or not. For example, in here now, this lecture is being given. The first and foremost outcome of this activity is how much you are able to understand, how well I am able to convey, and how it improved your understanding. That is the first and foremost outcome of this activity. Whether it was successful or failure, it is not a binary thing. It is not that it's not dichotomy. It's not black and white. It's not that it is successful or failure. It's not that. There will be shades, it will be grey, how much successful it was or how much failure it was. How well you understood or how well I was able to convey. So that is one aspect of this activity. The result, one outcome is that success and failure. Jaya and apajaya. That is one outcome of the action. The second outcome of the action is, with respect to me, The second outcome of my action is whether I will get some material benefits out of this or not. Whether I will get monetary benefits or some other benefits because of this activity. So if I perform it well, I may get more money. If I perform it not so well, I may get less money. So there may be a monetary gain or loss associated with an activity. That is the second type of outcome of an activity. This is not present always. For example, here it is not present. And this lecture is not being given for a monetary benefit. So that is absent. But in some cases it will be present. Activity will be done and it will have either a monetary gain or a loss, especially if you are in a business. There will be gain or loss. The third outcome of the activity will be of a subtler type. You may get praised for it or you may get criticized for it. Mana and apamana. I am using the words which occur in the Gita only, I am not using my own words. So you may get praised by society and you may feel good about yourself, or you may get criticized, condemned for it, and you may feel low. This is a third type of outcome of an activity, a subtler outcome, which will affect your personality, which will affect your psychology at various levels. This is the third outcome, praise or criticism, mana or apamana. The fourth outcome of the activity is how much learning you got because of that activity. This is a guaranteed result. Nobody else can take it away from you. In this lecture, whether it was conveyed well or not, whether you understood or not, whether I got money or not, whether I got praised or criticized or not, none of those, it doesn't matter if any of those happen or not, I will get to learn something from this activity. My experience will increase. Personal growth will anyway happen with any activity. This is a guaranteed outcome. This comes in the Gita in some places. For example, Uddharena Atmana Atmanam Atmanam Avasadhet. You have to lift yourself by yourself. How are you going to lift yourself by yourself? When you act in the world necessarily, you will get to learn something. You will see your mistakes. You will see your plus points. You will see your strengths, your weaknesses, all these things. More than others. If you are agile, you will see your strengths and weaknesses yourself first. So unless we are extremely idiotic, unless we are extremely foolish, this is a guaranteed outcome. It will come. Your personal growth will necessarily happen no matter what happened with the other outcomes. So this is the fourth outcome. And karma phala does not refer to any of those. In the Gita, whenever the word karma phala is used, it does not refer to success and failure of the activity. It does not refer to the monetary gain or benefit, labha and alabha. It does not refer to your praise or criticism, how much status you got, mana, apamana, it does not refer to that. Nor does it refer to your personal growth. Karma phala, the word karma phala does not refer to these four. The word karma phala refers to something else. That is the fifth outcome of an activity. In Sanskrit, the word used is adrishta. What is adrishta? What is the literal translation of adrishta? Invisible. Adrishta means invisible. Adrishta phala means invisible effects of your activity. They are happening, but you don't know. You are unaware. Karma phala refers to that. If you perform an activity, you see all the visible effects. All these four outcomes which I listed just now are all visible effects. Immediate effects which you will see then and there. But your activity will create invisible ripples in existence which will come back to you someday. That is karma phala. That is adrishta phala. That is daiva. You can refer to it by many names. What you refer to in Sanskrit as punya and papa is that if you create favorable ripples which will take you towards the shore of the ocean, they are called as punya. If you create unfavorable ripples in existence, which will take you towards more and more towards the center of the ocean, that is papa, which will make you more and more entangled in the ocean. So in waves, in the pattern of the waves, there are two types. Types of waves which will lead you, which will take you more and more towards the shore, and another type of wave which will take you towards the center of the ocean. So, any activity which will take you towards the shore, which will make you feel more and more free, which will give you a sense of freedom, which will take you towards liberation, are called as punya. And wave, karma, which will take you, which will entangle you more and more, which will make you feel more and more bound, are called as papa. That is what karma phala is. Whenever in Sanskrit literature, wherever you hear the word karma phala, in Bhagavad Gita also, karma phala means that invisible effects of your activity. It may be invisible and you may ignore them, you may think they are not there, but they will come back to you someday. But in the Gita, what Krishna is telling is not to perform punya and go near the shore. What he is asking is something, another step, another level of it. He is asking to give up karma phala altogether. He is asking us to give up both punya and papa equally. That is difficult to convey in this lecture, so I will keep it aside for now. So doing good activities, doing lot of punya, and going near more and more closer to the shore is first part of human evolution, first part of our journey. But that is not yet spirituality. Doing good deeds is not in the realm of spirituality yet. Spirituality begins when both punya phala and papa phala are given up. Activities are not given up. The ownership of the activity is not given up. Ownership of the activity is given up, and both punya and papa are equally given up. This is difficult to explain. I will cover it in another lecture maybe. But I will point out something with respect to the other four outcomes which I listed. These are the... Is it visible? Is it visible? What I have written. These are the 5 outcomes. And karma phala tyaga, giving up of the fruit of the activity, don't do it for all of them. If you do giving up of the fruit of the activity for all of them, it will become extremely absurd. Then what will be the implication is, if anybody is working for a salary, it is not karma yoga. It will become so. If you consider giving up of everything as karma yoga, then salaried working will no more be karma yoga. If you get some money out of your work, it will no more be karma yoga. If you consider giving up as karma yoga. So, see in the Gita itself, Krishna asked Arjuna to give up karma phala, tyaktva karma phala sangham, phalam tyaktva manishana, that will share many places. But elsewhere it is quite clear, he is asking Arjuna, jitva rajyam samriddham, you have to enjoy, after winning this war, you have to enjoy the kingdom that you will get. He is not asking him to give up all the outcome of the war. He is not asking him, simply fight and after that go to forest and give up everything. No, that is idiotic. You are going to perform this war, you are going to engage in this battle. The first outcome is whether you will win or lose. Okay, jaya apajaya will happen. After that, as a result of that, you will get monetary benefits. You will get the kingdom, or you will not get it. Then that is yours to claim. Once you get the kingdom, you have to rule it justly and enjoy the kingdom. He is not asking Arjuna to give up the kingdom. Similarly, let us not be in that delusion that if you work for money, it is not karma yoga. If you work for some monetary benefits or whatever benefits, it's not. No, it's not. It can still be karma yoga. Karma Yoga has only to do with the attitude behind the activity. It has nothing to do with the monetary benefit. What you will do with the money is a different thing. You may do social service, charity, okay, fine. But let us not be in that delusion that only if you work for free, it is Karma Yoga. No, that is not. Let us not be under the impression that social service, charity, working in an orphanage, working for an NGO, only this is Karma Yoga. No. They may be Karma Yoga, fine, but working for an institute, working for a salary, working for a software company, working for a business firm, anything can become Karma Yoga. It doesn't matter whether you take salary or not, they're all secondary things. Karma Yoga, when Krishna is speaking of Karma Yoga in Bhagavad Gita, he is speaking about the attitude behind the activity, and Karma Phala, that fifth, he is talking about that fifth outcome. He is not talking of the first four. For the first four, his advice is all different advices. For the first three, he is asking us to exercise equanimity, samatva. That is, samatva is again a big concept on its own. And for the fourth outcome, he is not asking to give up. If you give up that fourth one, if you say, I give up my personal growth, it will become extremely idiotic. Then why are you here for spiritual practice? Then there is nothing called spiritual practice, then there is nothing called spiritual growth if you say, I want to give up everything. So giving up is specifically advised for Karma Phala, and that has a particular reasoning behind it. If I get a chance, I will explain what that means. Giving up the ownership of the activity, giving up the doership of the activity, several words are used in that context. So that giving up is explained. There is Phala Tyaga, but for that specific Karma Phala, not for everything. For others, we are supposed to take some other teachings. There are some other teachings like equanimity and personal growth. Equanimity is again, just like Karma Phala, equanimity is a profound concept that also I will not be able to cover. So in this lecture, I just wanted to clarify that the word Karma Phala should not be used generally and vaguely for everything. See, otherwise, why I am telling this is, I have seen many people in Arogya Dhama and my friends elsewhere in Bangalore, everywhere, who are working, who are in a job, software or whatever. They come and they say, how to do Karma Yoga? We are in this company working. I ask them, then what do you mean by that statement? They say, no, we are earning, no, we are taking salary. People go into that delusion. They start feeling guilty because they take salary. Because they take salary, they start feeling guilty, we are not doing Karma Yoga. This is absolutely wrong. The message was not at all that. You have to take salary for your survival and then you share it with the society, all that is fine. But you should work for free, only then it is Karma Yoga is an absolutely absurd meaning of Karma Yoga. The actual Karma Phala Tyaga has to happen at a very fundamental level. It has to happen at the level of individuality, it has to happen at the level of giving up the doership of the activity, and it is a very deep concept. It is not simply giving up money or something like that. So, when we use that word Karma Phala, let us not apply it to everything, let us not apply it to all types of outcomes. It has to be applied to a specific outcome, to the invisible effect, to the Adrishta Phala. And just to clarify, I am not giving you my own opinion. If you see prominent commentaries, this is what it is. If you read Bhagavad Gita also, you will get to know this is what it is. If you see Shankara Bhashi, you will see, if you see other prominent commentaries, or even simple translation of the Gita, you will see that Karma Phala refers to Adrishta Phala, the invisible effects, and that is what you are supposed to give up. Not everything. Thank you. Oh.